The Little Sisters of the Poor are once again asking the Supreme Court to protect them from the HHS contraceptive mandate. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled against the Little Sisters of the Poor in October, following a Third Circuit ruling in July against an exemption from the HHS mandate for the Order of Catholic Nuns. The mandate, put into place by the Obama administration under the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare, requires employers to offer health insurance plans covering contraceptive and abortifacient drugs, both of which violate Catholic teaching. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of the Little Sisters in 2016, and the Trump administration issued an executive order in 2018 protecting the Little Sisters. But several states are still suing the nuns to take their exemption away. Joining us now from Washington, D.C. is Diana Verm, senior counsel at Becket, the religious liberty law firm representing the Little Sisters. Becket also represented EWTN in its lawsuit against the contraceptive mandate. Diana, thank you for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
Can you walk us through the latest developments in the Little Sisters case?
Sure. So to take us back to the beginning, in 2016, the Little Sisters of the Poor went to the Supreme Court asking for a religious exemption from the HHS contraceptive mandate, which would have required them to include in their health plans all FDA-approved contraceptives, including drugs and services that could cause an early abortion. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of the Little Sisters. It protected the sisters from the fines that the government wanted to impose, and it sent the cases back to the lower courts and told the government to find a solution that would work for everyone. The Trump administration came in, and they did find a solution that would work. They issued a religious exemption for all religious objectors. That should have been the end of the story, but over 20 states have sued the federal government, asking them to force nuns to provide contraceptives to their employees.
So what are the next steps then for the Little Sisters?
Sure, so the Little Sisters have intervened in those cases and have asked the courts to continue to protect them from the HHS mandate. The Third Circuit and the Ninth Circuit Courts of Appeals have ruled against the Little Sisters, and so they're back at the Supreme Court asking the court to protect them again from the HHS mandate. The court should consider whether or not it will decide the case this winter, and hopefully we'll hear the case in the spring.
And what are the implications of this case for religious liberty?
So this case is about whether or not the Little Sisters of the Poor can receive an exemption from a neutral law, and it's important because it means it decides whether or not, if the government can force nuns to provide contraceptives to their employees, it can force us to do anything at once. And Pennsylvania and some of the states have argued that the government shouldn't be able to provide religious exemptions in lots of situations. So the Little Sisters are really standing up for religious exemptions in lots of cases.
Diana, why should non-Catholics be concerned about this case?
This case is important to all Americans because if the government can force nuns to provide contraceptives to their employees, what can the government do to you or me or to any American? And it's also important because the states are arguing that the government can't lift a burden on religious exercise that it itself has imposed. So that really threatens the idea of religious exemptions for all kinds of religious objectors.
Exactly. And what would you like to see the Trump administration do then to protect the Little Sisters?
Sure. So the Trump administration has issued this religious exemption, and they are defending it in court. I'd love to see them continue to defend it, and I look forward to working with them in the case as it goes on.
Diana Verm, Senior Counsel for the Becket Fund for Religious Liberty, thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks so much for having me.